I screwed that up. I went full live right away. Boom. No intro, no nothing. That's cool. Yeah, call me retard. All right, anyway, let's get the recording started and we'll jump right into it. We got all kinds of different stuff we could talk about tonight. I do have one interesting article that I want to cover because this is eerily similar to 2024, the governor's race. So we'll get into that article and a bunch of other stuff. So again, let me get the recording started and we will proceed with the Liberty Talk.
The Constitution isn't just a document. It's a blueprint for freedom. We're breaking down politics at every level, exposing government overreach, and going where the mainstream media surely won't. Join us in defending individual rights against the bureaucratic tide. You're listening to the Missouri Liberty Report.
All right, folks, and we are back with another edition of the anti-MAGA podcast called Missouri Liberty Report, or just an edition of it. Like, we don't have to go like MAGA every week, but they just keep saying dumb stuff, and then we have to keep going over it and all kinds of stuff. So anyway, now don't forget, so December 2nd, Tom Martz will be on with us, and then December 9th, Tony Lavasco will be joining us. So the first 2 weeks of December, we will have two different guests. Tom will be in his normal monthly slot, and I'm actually hopefully going to remember this time and not forget. And then the 9th, we'll have Tony Lavasco on, and Tony's been on this show at least, I'd say, 3 times in the past. So Tony's been on this show. I know it's been at least twice. It's been 3 or 4 times at least. And I like to get Tony's take on things. Tony, sometimes when he answers a question, you think, you know what angle he's going to come from, and he kind of changes it a little bit, the way he answers it. He comes out on the right side, right? He's coming out like, yeah, we shouldn't be doing this, but his responses are different than what you normally hear, even sometimes on a libertarian podcast, right? So it's always great to have Tony on. It'll be a great show. Now, let's start. I got some stuff pulled up on well, I will have it pulled up on Facebook, some posts from Facebook from the magical Jess Piper again, because she said some other things, and it's like, Jesus, woman, you need to tone it down. But I
was just going to say, if we're going to go after the maggots later, we'll start with Democrats. You know, we'll have a little Democrat appetizer, right, and then we'll get into the maggot entree later on.
Now, I've heard through the grapevine that some people get upset when we possibly attack patriots or we attack conservatives. Some people don't like that very much. I don't care. I could give 2 poops less about what they think. But the let's call him the seemingly golden boy, the golden child of the grassroots type folks from 2024 during the gubernatorial, election, was Senator Bill Eigel was the anointed one, basically, by the grassroots, more conservative groups. And I was on that train for a little while. I have to admit, I have to be open and honest. I was on that train for a little bit, and then he started doing some things towards the end, and I went, I'm good. I'll back off. And I got off that train. But during 2024 election thing, of course, Trump was up for election. Apparently, people thought they were donating to Trump. Apparently, Eigel was getting this money. It was a misleading, like, text message thing that was going out, or emails. So this money, Trump kind of called Eigel out on it at one time. The Trump campaign called him out on this. All right. Now he's just kind of like, oh, I didn't do anything wrong. And I saw it and I was like, well, I kept seeing people talking about him. Like, what is he doing? Why is he doing this? Before I read this article, I want to make one point. And that is, if you're going to support someone, go directly to their website. Don't answer some mass text thing. Don't donate to the party. I don't care what party it is, right? If you want to make sure that money gets to that person, donate directly to them through their website or go to a campaign event and, fill out the little form and with how much you donated and do it that way. Don't donate, especially Republican and Democrat Party. Don't give them money because I don't know what percentage those people are actually getting, but I'm going to assume it's not much of the cut. Most of it's going to go to the party, not the person running for office, right? So, yeah, that's the one thing. If there's one thing you take away from all this, besides this meathead is seemingly, I don't want to say for sure, it seems like there's some shady stuff going on, right? So let me read this article. And again, I think the lesson is donate directly to the candidate's website or in person. Do not donate through a mass text thing. Don't donate to the party. I think if you do that, you're just wasting your freaking money, honestly, because you don't know where that money's going. But let me read this. So this is from the Missouri Independent. It's the article is titled "How a Nebraska Veteran Unwittingly Became a Repeat Donor to a Missouri County Campaign." Republican Bill Eigel is once again facing accusations that his campaign relies on deceptive fundraising tactics to lure out-of-state donors to give recurring contributions. That's another bad part of this. So, a Korean War veteran from Nebraska named Russell Wood made 35 donations totaling $1,050 over the last year to Bill Eigel's campaign for St. Charles County executive. The problem is Wood, who is 92, has never heard of Eigel or set foot in St. Charles County. He told the Independent he had no idea he made so many donations to Eigel's campaign. At some point in the last 4 years, one of Eigel's fundraising emails, which focus on national issues and often don't make any mention of Eigel, showed up in Woods' inbox. He's concerned about immigration and crime and donated thinking he was giving help to Donald Trump and other Republicans defeat Democrats. That's when he appears to have been caught in an online fundraising practice that makes donations automatically repeat on a weekly or monthly basis unless the contributor changes a pre-checked box. Wood said he doesn't recall making any donations this year, and if I did, it wasn't to anybody in Missouri. Wood is one of 141 people nationally, including 6 from Missouri, who made multiple donations to Eigel's 2024 campaign for governor, who are also contributors to his St. Charles County executive race. One retired woman in Texas, who made 143 donations to Eigel's campaign for governor, has contributed $1,205 and 74 separate donations since December. And all are about the same dates each month, just like the donations to the campaign for governor. She could not be reached for an interview. Automatic recurring donations have been criticized as dirty and rotten for taking advantage of people who respond to one message with a small gift, but who wind up giving thousands over several months or years. It's not the first time Eigel's fundraising strategy has raised concern. During his run for governor last year, a similar scheme drew the ire of President Trump's campaign, who complained Eigel was using his name to raise money without permission. And thanks to the widely held view that an Eigel victory next year could serve as a springboard for a rematch with Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe in the 2028 GOP primary, he's facing more scrutiny than a candidate for St. Charles County executive usually endures. I would say that it's a matter of his character. The fact that he's allowing these tactics to go out under PACs that are supporting him has never once condemned the tactics that he's authorizing, said Mike Hafner, a Republican consultant close to Kehoe, who is working for one of Eigel's opponents in the Republican primary for county executive, Lake St. Louis Mayor Jason Law. Law has raised $528,000. Only 7 of his donors are from outside Missouri. Incumbent Republican Steve Ellman has raised nothing, spent what little he had on consulting during the summer, and will start the campaign with $2,436. Eigel's campaign declined to comment on his fundraising practices, instead providing an emailed statement on the dynamics of the county executive race. I'm not thinking about Mike Kehoe or Steve Ellman and whatever their political goals might or might not be, Eigel said. I'm thinking about St. Charles, a St. Charles that is free from personal property tax and growing again after several years of stagnation. So after victories last week by Democrats in Virginia, New York, and other states, Eigel's fundraising machine warned email recipients that socialists are coming to take over small towns. There are radical Democrats who openly cheer when conservatives are hurt or killed, read one message from the Believe in Life and Liberty, or BILL PAC. Another headlined Antifa insurrection warning told recipients they want to destroy our country through violent uprising to install a socialist utopia where the law of the land comes from leftist ideology, not morals or principles. The appeals never mention Eigel or identify the purpose of Bill Pack, which is named as a recipient in small type at the bottom of the emails. So, listen, man, this just irritates me to death, right? It's the same freaking, it's just like copy and paste of something from the national Republican Party. What the stuff they were spouting out. You know, we heard gubernatorial candidates across the country spewing the same nonsense. You can't let Chinese buy up farmland, and then the socialists are going to take over, and they're laughing at you, and yada. It's just a copy and paste across these states. And so he's running for St. Louis County executive. And it's like, I would think that any of those messages, I mean, clearly that messaging and that campaign tactic is directed straight at the Trumpians, right? The cult members who think that there's a socialist behind every bush and that Chinese are going to buy up everything. So he's clearly pointing he's clearly trying to get the donations from the MAGA people. That's what he's doing. And so it is just ridiculous. Now, again, is it a little shady to make it up to where if you donate and then it's just recurring because you didn't uncheck a box? It's a little shady. But people, it's the internet. If you're going to go make a purchase, you got to read everything to make sure you're not getting screwed over. Like, you have to make sure you read everything before you hit pay now or whatever, before you check out and enter in all your pay information. You need to verify that website's not adding an extra charge in there, or you're agreeing to something because you didn't uncheck a box. Now you're paying an extra fee. Like, that's just the rules of the internet, like it or not. So it's a little shady. But I would say also pay better attention to what you're doing. And I would also say don't go on emails and then go donate. Come on, man. I sound like Joe Biden when I said that. Come on, man. But just don't be that silly. Brandon, what do you got to say?
Oh, I mean, I kind of agree with you that, it's not black and white. It's not like Eigel's 100% at fault here. I mean, these people, they didn't read what they were clicking and they submitted extra payments. And if you're going to tell me that like politicians are sleazy, I could also tell you that water is wet. You know what I'm like? If you're mad at Eigel over this, I mean, like, again, it is a little bit dirty. Like, I'm not defending Eigel in any way here. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I think it's definitely a shady thing, especially for, like, in politics, your whole gimmick is your character. Like, the character you're presenting to the people is your whole thing. Your credibility is everything. And so, I mean, do I think this should hurt his credibility? Yeah, a little bit, but not in any crazy way. I mean, he's like you said, he's a very small piece of a very large number of conservatives doing this probably all over. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if a bunch of other Republican candidates had the same strategy where they send out these massive, I don't want to call them phishing emails, but, they kind of just send out like, are you afraid of Democrats, socialists, and immigrants? Donate here. We're going to stop them. And they never have to specify. People are like, oh, I'm so afraid. Click, 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 click. They don't read all the fine print. They're just like, oh, I've got to send my money to stop these Democrats. And so, yeah, you kind of get, this is the kind of thing you get when you don't read things also. But I would say the bigger overarching point is that it looks really bad for his campaign. And, you know, but I don't think it'll hurt his, like, that's not going to be the make or break in this election, probably.
No, it does bother me that these people proclaim to be so much better than quote unquote the establishment, and then they put out these very vague emails, and it, yeah. Now, if you're going through and you're reading an email and you don't see Bill Eigel's name anywhere, you just see a PAC name, and you're like, all right, well, this message, I think that's a pretty crappy thing to do. Like, if you're so proud of your messaging, your name should be all over that, right? But it's like, it's cool because we'll just get money from people out of state, and if they're not paying attention, I'll just take more of their money. Now, again, I also don't think. Now, I don't say I want rules and laws made up about this, right? But I also don't think you should have your name or whatever in the fine print. I think it should be right out there in the open. Again, if you're going to sit here and proclaim to be the best candidate, the most conservative candidate, the non-establishment candidate, then don't run a campaign like an establishment person, right? Because now I'm losing faith in you, bro. I'm losing even more faith than I had in you. You're campaigning like the people that, like the Trumps or whoever of the world in the Republican Party. If you're not going to be an establishment guy, then don't campaign like an establishment guy. I think if I'm his opponent coming, down the road, like let's say because I can totally see Eigel using this as a springboard to try to run for governor again. I totally see this happening. I don't see him just being St. Charles County executive and being like, yep, I'm good. No need to go. I don't have to go any higher up the political ladder. I think that's BS. I think he wants to run for governor again. I think he's angry he lost last time. But if I'm his opponent, I'm bringing this up. Like, this guy says he's not establishment, but he ran his campaign things like an establishment guy. Can we really trust him? I mean, I'd use that against him. I think it's a little shady and underhanded. And even if you don't want to look at it that way, again, if you're supposed to be the tried and true conservative guy, then put your name all over everything. Don't be hiding behind stuff or putting up some vague post and email. But again, to the people who just decide to respond to an email and just keep sending money, no, if you like the candidate, then go directly to their page. They're all going to have them, right? Very few candidates don't have a web page to go to and find out about their political leanings and then how to donate. Go directly to their page. Stop like responding to mass texts and mass emails. That's just not again, it's the internet, right? There's scams all over the internet. Like, you got to be a little more distrustful of these things and untrusting and a little more. And it's like, look at everything with a jaundiced eye. Where if you just go, yeah, I hate socialists. Like, dude, a lot of us hate socialists, but I'm not just going to a page and throwing money at it, right?
I guess my point is, like, one thing I do want to question is that, like, when you're donating to that site, like it said in the article, he was worried about immigration and crime, so he just started donating.
Right.
Wouldn't a campaign like Eigel's be where you expected that money to end up? Like, that's, I guess the recurring part is the big scam. Like, that's the big thing, is that all of the payments are recurring. But that's just, that is dirty, but that's just a box that you didn't uncheck or check.
Right. You got to pay attention.
Right. I mean, that is that's a sleazy tactic. But as far as, like, the way the article almost wants to present it in a way too, is that he's misleading these people. But in reality, he just never told them the full story, and they never asked before donating. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't that he lied. Maybe in the one where he, like, made it seem like you were donating to Trump, like that, like the one where the Trump campaign, again, I don't know anything about that story. So if you know more, you could possibly enlighten us. But again, I just don't understand, like, you're just donating blindly to fight immigration and crime, And who's not to say that Bill Eigel's not going to do that? You know what I mean? So if the article is going to try to like say that, oh, Eigel's misleading people, it's like kind of, but really just by not letting people fill in the blanks in their own head, but not by telling them a story that's not true. Again, unless he's making it seem like you're donating to Trump, then that is a whole different ball game of just almost directly lying to people. Like if you're like President Trump needs your help, donate here, and then it's going to you, that is like borderline fraud, lying, legal repercussions type deal. But just saying donate money to fight crime and immigration, and then it goes to Bill Eigel, that's not necessarily that misleading. Again, I don't think Bill Eigel is going to do that much to stop immigration and crime. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think that, like, you know, if you're blindly just donating to Republicans, it's going to go to Eigel just as much as any other Republican. So
yeah, I just pulled up the MEC report on Bill Pack, right? So let me pull this up real quick. And because if you go through the MEC report, this was the date of the report is October 15th, 2025. Now it'll go through and show all the people who have donated, right? Now I'm just saying, right? This is the same thing they brought up. Believe in Life and Liberty, Bill Pack, St. Charles, Missouri. Okay. Now let's just take a look. I'm gonna blow this up a little bit so it makes it easier for people to see. Oklahoma, North Carolina, Texas, Kentucky, Ohio, Indiana, Massachusetts, Arizona, Hawaii, Texas, Illinois, Florida, California, Michigan, Texas, New Jersey, Maryland, Illinois, Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, Indiana, Missouri, another Florida, another Oklahoma, New York, Ohio. I mean, I'm seeing more names from out of state than I'm seeing from in state. Now that's okay. Listen, I'm not here to like automatically go, this is what's going on. I'm sorry, but that seems a little fishy that your October 15th donation report is more people out of the state than in the state. What I just scrolled through. That's a little odd. Now, let me see. I should have done this before. Let me see if I can find let's see if I can find any articles about the campaign thing from 2024. I bet you there's let's see.
I will say that the beauty of this whole thing is that the information is public. So the voters have the information to make the informed choice. Like they can see that, oh, all of his donations are coming from out of state. And if you don't trust that, rightfully so, don't vote for it. You know what I mean? Like I'm not, who am I to say that, who am I to say that someone from Florida can't donate to a St. Charles County, a county executive campaign if they want to? But I think the information should be open to the public where we can all go, oh, you're getting all your money from Florida? Yeesh.
Let's see. Here we go. I think this might be an article here. Just get out of here. Stop it. Okay. This is from September 18th, 2023. Let me pull this page up for, here we go. This one, again, this is from northwestmissouriinfo.com. Missouri PAC accused of raising money using Donald Trump's name. A Missouri newspaper is reporting Donald Trump's 2024 presidential campaign sent cease and desist letters to groups fundraising for gubernatorial candidate Bill Eigel. The St. Louis Post-Dispatch reports his political action committee solicited supporters, asking them to support the former president, but instead donations went to Eigel's campaign. Eigel tells Missouri Net he cannot comment on outside organizations, but he's focused on his campaign. Missouri Net contacted the PAC, but the group has not responded yet. Eigel faces off against Jay Ashcroft and Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe for the Republican nomination for governor. So He was doing it in 2024. And I remember getting those. And I was like, and then reading later, because I was like, I'm not donating to Trump. And then I was reading later that's like, oh, that money's going to Eigel and it's not going to Trump. So Trump sent him a cease and desist letter. So this is nothing new. I just want to keep going through. It's just a whole names from.
That's a whole different level of sleazy, in my opinion. That is openly deceiving. That is like straightforward deception.
Yeah.
That is, you think the money's going to Trump and it's going to Eigel, or it's going to Eigel's PAC.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I don't even want to give him the benefit of the doubt in this regard for sure. There is a very small chance that like he doesn't deal with how the funds come in aspect of it. He might, you know what I mean? He might have greenlit some of the ideas, not thinking in his head, like what's the overarching, how is this going to look? What's the repercussions? It could be just someone on his, like someone he knows or someone who's, I don't want to say smart, but like, thinking like if we can get people to think they're giving to Trump, they'll give to Eigel. And so someone else sets it up. And so again, there's a good chance that this definitely wasn't his brainchild, just something he went along with. And technically PACs and candidates are supposed to be separate, but I mean, again, I don't want to, I also wasn't born yesterday, so I'm not going to say that he didn't know any of this was going on. He might've had a smaller part in it than like it'll seem on the outside,
Right. I think what bothers me is his responses both times have been the same. Doesn't want to talk about it at all. And that really bugs me. Like, I'm just focused on my campaign. I just want to make St. Charles not have any personal property taxes and not be stagnant anymore. Like, dude, this is 2 times you've been accused of this, and you're just like, no idea. Moving on to my campaign. That just also seems a little, it seems like a very shady thing to do coming from someone, again, who's supposed to be anti-establishment. Anti-big, he wants to do big red things. Well, okay, bro, you are doing big red things with that kind of shady stuff, right? Like you're doing big red things. Either you or whoever's running your campaign and setting these, although someone or some people are clearly doing big red things in Missouri to a bunch of people who don't live in Missouri. They probably don't like your big red thing anymore. That didn't sound right. But anyway, they feel like they're getting taken advantage of by a big red thing right in the wallet. But anyway, I don't know. It's just, now again, some people, this is going to be like the Justin Sparks thing, right? Just talking about this and even having just the audacity to even maybe say that they're doing things they really shouldn't be. We're going to upset some of the freedom folks out there. And let's be principled, people. If this feels to you like this isn't a cool thing to do, then you still have to call it out, right? Don't let this stuff fly and go, well, we have to get him in office. It's going to be like that crap with Roy Blunt in like 2000 or 2004, whenever it was, 2008, when the St. Louis County Tea Party was like, we're gonna hold our nose and pull the lever for Blunt, but we're gonna hold him accountable. Like, oh, so you didn't want to hold him accountable the whole time, but now you are. I'm sure he's really worried about you holding him accountable. One of the most crooked politicians in DC is worried about the St. Louis County Tea Party. Oh my God. Talk about delusional.
Well, I will say that what I think is, again, not what's worse than tricking people into thinking you're donating to Trump and donating to him. That's wrong. Yeah. But I think I would honestly rather have someone getting donations from out of state with some sort of national kind of like social media campaign versus going to donation tables at the summer caucus.
Yeah.
That is corporate interests. Like Bill Eigels' interests. If you've got people donating $100 from Montana, $100 from Florida, $100 from Arizona, it's hard to pinpoint like what are your big like, oh wow, like okay, you get a bunch of donations, but what does that mean for how you're gonna govern, how you're gonna vote? You know, there's a lot of questions there. But whenever you're going table to table to donors as like a party thing, it's not hard to figure out why the members of your party are voting the way they are. You're going table to table getting donations from big donors who have corporate interests in mind. And so like what Eigel's doing, I'd be hard pressed to have somebody convince me that getting money from Florida is any worse than getting money from the big donors in Missouri. I would argue that it's not. And so again, but to your point also, it is like these people have the power to take your money by force. Like that's what as a society, as of right now, what we've given them the power to do. And so, yes, we need to hold them to the absolute highest standard. And so whether, no matter who this is coming from, even if this was the most, politically, like even if Thomas Massey got caught doing this, we would still go, yeah, that's a little shady. Like if Thomas Massey, if you thought you were donating to something and instead the money was being funneled to him, I would say that's shady. And I would call it out immediately. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying I wouldn't vote for Massey over literally every other member of the House, but that would still be something that we would have to discuss on this show because it's wrong.
Absolutely. Yeah. You can't, I just, again, I don't like this. I think it's a poor way to run a campaign. And, if you, I don't know, again, now that's one of the things, like people like Eigel, they did get some large donations, but it wasn't the number like that Kehoe got or an Ashcroft got. Like Kehoe got big money donations. Eigel's was more small, again, grassroots, a lot of grassroots support, pouring donations into his campaign coffers. I'm fine with that. If it's generally coming from, especially if it's coming from within the state, right? The people have a vested interest in who their governor is, and they want who they believe is the best governor. And grassroots people are getting donations for Eigel. Okay, cool. But if you're using Donald Trump name and you're funneling back through and you're fooling people into getting it into your PAC, I have a problem with that. Again, the main thing is you're pushing a message of anti-establishment, and yet you're acting like establishment. It may not be you, but somebody in your campaign is doing it. And I think if I want to be anti-establishment as hell, that I'm going to tell that person, hey, you got to knock this off, dude. You're not helping my cause, especially when he was kind of running under the banner of being like the biggest Trump supporter of all the gubernatorial candidates. And then Trump sends you a cease and desist letter. You got to be people like, hey, I thought you were Trump's biggest supporter. Why is he sending you a cease and desist letter right now while you're campaigning for governor? What's this about? Apparently, a lot of people didn't see that, but it doesn't look good. But that's my take on it. I think, again, if you're going to be running as the ultra conservative guy, you don't go around acting like these bought and paid for Republicans that are filling the state house.
I will say, though, to the caveat to what you're saying, the anti-establishment crowd that he's going for is the Trump crowd that normally loves these ads that Trump uses. So I will say that like the tactic isn't even it's not how, you know what I mean? It doesn't. It's
not anti-establishment. It really isn't.
Right. It doesn't make him. Well, it doesn't make him establishment per se to like do these things, because the anti-establishment can, again, I'm not that they're actually the anti-establishment, but like, because I would say that Trump is really starting to blur he's establishment, really. He's really starting to like,
he is fully establishment.
Right.
Trump is fully establishment.
So to your credit, you would have to almost distance yourself from Trump to be truly
Yeah.
anti-establishment. But the conservative mindset, the Republican mindset of what anti-establishment is, they love these ads. Like the people
Yeah.
who think they're fighting the swamp are the ones donating to all of these campaigns, going to all of the swamp creatures that never really left.
Yeah, it's just like, dude, I got some hateful messages from people like towards the end of not too long before the November 2024 election. And those months prior, okay, whatever, dude. Have at it. Sorry, Liberty Cave. You can unfollow me all you want. Listen, you watch this show, right? I'm gonna be straight up honest with you. I'm not towing a line for a certain president because he has a certain last name and he says he's gonna do things and they seem establishment to me. Unfollow. Go right ahead. I am not caving. I am not going to sit here and pretend to be some cult member so I can get more followers. No thanks. I'll pass.
I don't even know if this is a real person. I mean, it might be a human being on the keyboard, but they may have just seen the title of our show, clicked on it, and then left the comment.
It's like, what?
Because I've never seen them comment on anything else before. Like, this is the first time they've let it known that they're, and what we've trash on Trump, and we like, did they not watch last week?
Or
like,
most
that's what
of
I'm
weeks?
saying. Right. What are you talking about?
We dunk on all the idiots, like Republican, Democrat. Oh, yeah. Here we go.
I'll read it. So this person says, MAGA has issues for certain, but I am unfollowing you over being divisive with your title. And for those listening on the radio, the title of the show is More Dumb from the MAGA Cult. And so, like, we're not even saying that. We're talking about the people who are locked in and can't critically think. And so,
yeah.
What does that say about you that you're leaving?
Again, you know, we want this show is about pushing constitutional government, constitutional people in government, and being principled. Now, again, I don't know why I'm just going to say this. You know, it's everybody changes their mind over things over time, right? You'll have a certain way of thinking about a subject, and then life experiences and more reading and research, you're like, oh man, I was a little off on that one. I think I feel this way now. And that's fine because you're doing research and you're going to change your mind on stuff. That's absolutely fine. But if you think that because someone has a certain last name and even some grassroots people are out there saying, we got to support this guy, you think that means I have to support this guy, then you're wrong, because I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go where my heart and my head tell me to go. And that is the most liberty way I can go. Not because it's cool to support this person or because I drank the red Kool-Aid and I'm like, woohoo. No, I don't want to do that. And I don't want this show to be a shill for certain people and then, try to get that $7,000 check for being a, one of those people. So I don't want to, I don't want to do that with this show. Sorry. If you don't like that, good day, ma'am or sir. Again, just to kind of finish up on this. I just wish that people would do a little more research, look things up a little bit more. Again, you can pick up this little device that generally everyone has and look up almost anything that you want to. Yes, there is some censored material out there, but you can look almost anything on the interwebs on this small device. This is one of the most powerful things you will ever hold in your hand as far as like gathering information from all around the planet. You have the ability to do that. You should do it and make better decisions. Now, again, you might think that Eigel is just the bee's knees and he's the best person that's ever going to run for governor. And that's fine. You vote the way you vote the way you think is best. I don't You do that, right? But for me, I would like to be better researched, and I would like to be better principled, and I would like more liberty, and not just talking points and like, this self-congratulatory BS that you see, and all the pats on the butts, like good game, good game. I'm done with all that. That sucks. I hate that. So anyway, thanks to Tom Martz for passing that on. He tagged me on that on Facebook, on X. So I appreciate him sending that to me, because I had not seen that, and I'm really glad that I did see it, because this is now what I would call, this is starting to become a pattern. Like, okay, let's say he wins county executive, right? But then 2028, he decides, I'm running for governor. Now, what happens if the next great Republican presidential candidate is, they've got the Republican Party names their candidate for president, and he starts putting out messages with that person's name on it, and then money funnels to his PAC? Like, what are we supposed to think then? Like, that's clearly a pattern of behavior, and that if you've been called out on it 2 times and you do it a 3rd time, you don't care. You're just going to come back with, I'm just worried about my campaign, bro. That's it. Don't care where the money comes from. I got to win.
I think Eigel is relying on the people in this vote to just not be paying attention to this. That's what he's relying on. That's why he won't answer the questions about it either, which is the worst approach ever.
Yeah.
I mean, like you were saying a minute ago, like, again, he's relying on no one seeing it, because if they're like, hey, you have a bunch of shady practices with your donations gathering, and then you're doing nothing about, like, you have nothing to say about it, that's like, it's borderline lying. Like, it's just as bad as lying to dodge a question that you don't want to answer like that, especially about personal finances and campaigns. Now, if you ask him a campaign question about something out of his realm, and you can be like, oh, I'm running for county council, I'm not going to deal with the state issues like immigration or whatever. But no, if it's the question is, why are you taking all of these out of state donations, and what the heck's going on? And yours is, I'm focused on being the best I can for the people of my county. I don't know. I just think that's
it's almost like a Trumpian thing, not answering the question, right? I mean, it's kind of a Trump thing to do. Just skirt around, or a typical politician way, just skirting around it, just acting like the question was never asked.
Well, whataboutism. Like, anytime someone's got you on something, you're like, but the Democrats they're going crazy. And it doesn't matter what anyone says about you. You just say, the Democrats are going crazy. No matter what you have to say about me, we have to stop the Democrats. And everyone just stops in their tracks. Oh, gotta stop them.
And it's like, yes, sir, we know the Democrats are crazy. We've been watching and listening to what they've been saying. We know the cheese fell off their cracker a long time ago, but what are you doing? And why are you doing this? Are you trying? It makes it look like the cheese fell off your cracker as well, sir. So I just don't want. And then Gary says the MAGA cult worships Israel. Yeah, that's also true. I just I don't know. And then you've got Jess Piper. Just bless her heart. Just bless her heart. Right? Here's a good one. And this is going to make it sound like I'm making fun of what she's saying. It's not directly the message. It's just, this is just a reminder that we wouldn't need a list released if we just believed women.
Oh.
Okay, but what about when Kavanaugh was being under questioning to become a Supreme Court justice? What about Kavanaugh? Were we supposed to just believe that gal when clearly she made up the whole story about being raped? So we were just supposed to believe her. Why? Because it fits the narrative, and Kavanaugh may have not been appointed to the Supreme Court. Is that what Jess is saying? Again, rape is a horrible, horrible crime. You are violating someone's body in one of the worst ways imaginable, right? But you just be like, believe all of them. Like, all of them? Like, I know some shady people out there who will lie just to make someone else's life hell. I don't think we have to. That's just like saying when,
Oh.
that would be like a politician. Like anytime a certain politician speaks, you just have to believe it. Because this group of people said so. Shut up. Shut up.
Not to mention, like, what you're saying is like such a huge problem in divorce court. Like, women make up so much stuff in divorce court to like win settlements,
Yes.
win alimony, get more favorable custody out of the whole thing. So to believe all women is such a 2016 already quashed Democrat trope. Like, we had the believe me too, believe all women. And then it turns out, like you said, not all women can be believed. All allegations need to be taken seriously.
Yes.
But you don't just believe all women. That is that's such just a stupid political trope. Like, it's just Democrats and Republicans, they don't run on good policy. They don't run on a history of achievements. They run on slogans and slogans alone. Just like, I mean, it's so disgusting.
You know what else? Listen, this is not going to get me any fans. But remember the Me Too movement, where it was like hashtag Me Too? But if you're my age, we used to call that the pound sign. So it was more like pound me too. And it's like, what are you insinuating right now? Right. So let's like ease up there, lady. Also this one, sorry, I have to point that out anytime. This one also, Trump and his voters have put us through so much pain, and not one of his supporters has a higher paying job or cheaper health care or a better education for their children or new roads or sidewalks or hospitals, ... Nothing is better. Everything is demonstrably worse.
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
can you honestly say that none of his supporters have a higher paying job? That none of his supporters have this or that? I get what she's trying to say, but you couldn't say that about Biden supporters either.
Well, I was going to say, dude, when Biden was president, okay, Trump's a bad driver, but we see what happens when we give you the keys. You know what I'm saying? Like,
what is your problem?
We put Democrats in charge for 4 years. St. Louis has had a Democrats in charge for forever. And that's one of the worst parts of the state.
Yeah. And then, listen, she makes my head hurt a lot. She really does. She makes my head hurt so much when she says just these, and it's a thing. Again, it's an echo chamber. She says these things, and the retarded seals just clap, and they're like, ooh, and they have their ticker tape parade for themselves or whatever. But it's like, God, everything's so vague, or just vomiting out other points that somebody else has made. That yes, again, are things really better under Trump? No, they're not. But to pretend like Democrats have the moral high ground on, oh, well, when Biden was in office, people were just getting paid more money and their health care was cheaper and they had better education. Okay. All these people that post this stuff should just go out and touch grass, right? You've been locked in your home, reading the same stupid stuff day and day. Go out and get some sunlight on your face. Take your socks and shoes off and just ground yourself. Literally ground yourself. But go touch the grass. You're not touching grass. And it's causing you serious psychological harm. Stop being an idiot and go touch the grass. Now, I'm going to move from that for a second, just because on the flip side of things, this is from America Conservatives post, and there's just been some golden nuggets on here about the Trump cultists and everything. What's this one say? Okay. Donald J. Trump, wacky Marjorie Trader Brown. Remember, green turns to brown when there's rot involved. Jesus, is working overtime to try and portray herself as a victim when, in actuality, she is the cause of all her own problems. The fact is, nobody cares about this traitor to our country.
Honestly, the traitor is solid. Like he actually kind of ruined it by putting the brown on there. If he would have just called her Marjorie Traitor Green and just left because the brown part's just dumb. I don't know. I think it's one of his interns or whoever came up with that. That one wasn't a good one. But
I
the
like
traitor. Sorry,
but
go on.
The thing is like how. Okay, you're going to call her a traitor because why? Because she's calling you out on things like Israel and some of the other things, like Marjorie Taylor Greene is calling you out on your BS. And so you're going to call her a traitor to the country when seemingly she seems to have more interest in America First stuff than you do. So where's this traitor thing? The only thing she's a traitor to is she's a traitor to the cult. Now, I'm not saying that Marjorie Taylor Greene is the greatest thing since sliced bread. That's not what I'm saying. But if you told me I had two choices to pick from between Trump or Green, I'm picking Green every time because she seemingly has woken up out of her coma a little bit and still wants to. She has more interest in America than she does Israel. And you know what? I'm a big fan of that. So MTG, you keep going. You keep terrorizing the cult members, making them openly weep, and I'll just keep congratulating you on the fine job you're doing at making these people melt down. Congratulations. Good job, lady. Keep it up. Make them cry.
So I think So I think the conservatives that are like the MAGA cult that's hard on the bandwagon, I think that they're underestimating the number of people who side with people like Thomas Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene. Because like on their social medias, like that's the number one time you get ratioed is when the conservatives start talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene or Thomas Massey. The people come in force. Now, on the flip side of that, it's not going to be a big wave of people leaving the Republican Party because of this. It's just going to be enough where you're going to see Democrats go back into power. Like the Republicans are fumbling this so hard day after day, and they're running out of time to recover for the midterms as far as like the people are concerned. Now, Donald Trump so tariffs were supposed to save the country. Now he's getting rid of tariffs to help with affordability. And, he didn't, the Democrat Epstein thing was a hoax. So we won't release the files. Now we will release the files, but we won't unredact them for national security and foreign intelligence purposes. But we won't specify what foreign service intelligence or, what sort of national security interest this Jeffrey Epstein files could play out here. But boy, talk about some 5D chess, huh, John?
Well, and here's another one. This is from Brenda. Let me pull up the page. I found this on X. I guess I bookmarked this a couple days ago or something and forgot that I bookmarked it, and I went back through. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I saved some stuff on X. I need to see what posts that I bookmarked. And here's one from Brendan Dilley, who's apparently, well, let's see. Let's look at his description here. Leader of the Dilley meme team, host of the Dilley Show. Oh, best-selling author, I'm sure. And Trump 2024 campaign. Well, there's enough said. Now, isn't it weird that Thomas Massey has a new wife that knew his dead wife for years before she died? Now his much younger wife tends to his dead wife's animals as if they were her own and sleeps in her bed, etc. She only died 16 months ago after 30 years of marriage. This is the low that they can't attack him on his principles, right? He is the most principled member of Congress. So what are they going to do? They're going to attack him because he married probably someone. Somebody commented in there in that post, and I think there could be truth. I don't know because I don't know Thomas Massey personally, but they said, some people lose a spouse, and there is someone there, a friend, that helps them through the pain and guides them through and makes sure everything's okay. and those people end up falling in love and they get married a little bit down the road. That could be the case. I don't know. If it is, that's fine. I will take Thomas Massey marrying someone 16 months after his wife passed away over these turds that call themselves America Firsters or the MAGAs or whatever. I'll take a Thomas Massey remarrying because you know what? It won't affect his ability to govern properly. It won't prohibit him from being the most constitutional member of Congress. So, dude, take those comments, wad it up in a ball, and shut up your butt as far as you can get up there. What a low-life scumbag.
You know, I'm trying to think. Maybe you can help me here.
Okay.
Didn't Thomas Massey get in a lot of trouble in 2024 because he didn't he get in trouble not in 2024 but like in 2021, 2022 for paying a prostitute with campaign funds to keep her quiet? Or was that Trump?
Because I thought you were being serious for a second. I'm like, what?
I'm trying to remember which one of them was paying the prostitute because he had sex with her while his wife was pregnant. I'm trying to remember. Was that Trump or was that because one guy remarried after his wife passed away and the other one slept with a prostitute while his wife was pregnant? I'm trying to remember which one was which.
I think Massey's the one that paid the prostitute. Trump never does anything wrong.
Oh,
that had to have been Massey.
Trump do something wrong? No, we just have a misguided moral code then. We have to change our moral code because
we have to go with the womanizers and not the principled, like, better human beings. We have to go after the womanizer and pedophile protectors because the principled people suck. They just suck the joy out of the room. Who the hell wants to hang out with those type of people and have them in Congress or the halls of power? Oh my God, that's horrible.
No, but I just think it's the richest thing ever seeing Republicans go after Thomas Massey for his love life, as if Trump is like some sort of angel sent from heaven. The Virgin Trump. I mean, what are they talking about? He didn't even get caught having an affair.
No.
It's unbelievable that they can even try to spin this into some kind of a scandal. It's so stupid.
Here's the thing. I see people out there, and they're not wrong. They're not wrong about one part of the statement I'm going to be making. There's a lot of people out there like the Republican Party is tearing itself apart and blah, blah, blah. People like, we have to stop. Listen, the people that get elected to those seats that the people of this country have elected, and a lot of them want to act like Democrats. Sorry, sucks. This was bound to happen. You played the Democrats, they spin things a certain way. Republicans just sit there and like run in place they look like a Looney Tunes cartoon, like they're in a puddle of grease and they're just like running in place, trying so hard to be like the awesome people. And because you have, here's the mind-blowing part. You have people that are not Israel first. And those people are just getting crapped on all over the place. And imagine this, folks. Imagine actually caring about the country in which you serve more than another country makes you a really terrible person. And that's what's tearing the party apart, is that people have the audacity to actually say, you know what? Let's actually do things for America. Let's stop sending money overseas to all these countries and funding these wars. Let's keep that money here. And the thing that's supposedly tearing the Republican Party apart is that you have people who are standing on some principles. Now, just think about that, right? Think about that. Because the Republicans, again, love to say we're the small, limited government, lower your taxes people. And no, they're spinning us into oblivion, just like the Democrats do. They're doing all these things. And then a few people take a stand. And it tears the party apart because a few people decide they want to be a little more principled and they want to not do these things that raise the debt tremendously and make us all poorer. Oh my God, that's the most horrible thing. And that's tearing the party apart. Well, if a few people being principled is tearing the party apart, then your party deserves to be torn apart. It deserves to be shredded because it's lost its way and it's not doing what they said they were going to do. So boo-hoo to you all. But I'm sorry. Then make sure, if you're upset about that, go out and get a bunch more Massey types or even Rand Paul's elected. And maybe you won't have a party tearing itself apart, but you've chosen to be cult members. You've chosen to tear down the very people who are it seemingly look like they're trying to do the right thing. Yeah, your party deserves to crash and burn.
Yeah. Okay. So I just wanted to go that like these orders are coming straight from the top here, by the way. This is Trump's Truth Social post on Thomas Massey from the 14th, which would have been, I don't know, maybe Thursday or Friday of last week. Did Thomas Massey, sometimes referred to as Rand Paul Jr., pause there for just a second. He says that like it's an insult. Like what?
Yeah.
A Rand Paul Jr., dude, if someone called me Rand Paul Jr. and I was running for office, I would be like, sure. Like we probably disagree on very, very small little things, but yeah, for the most part, yeah, I'm 100%. You can call me Rand Paul Jr. That's not an issue. Yeah, I totally agree with Agarizer there. Massey, MGT. Right. But I think it's starting to go Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and then somewhere way down here where you can't see is Trump. That's starting to be where we're heading here.
Yeah.
Because you can't be doing this. Sorry, back to it. Did Thomas Massey, sometimes referred to as Rand Paul Jr., because of the fact that he always votes against the Republican Party, get married already? Boy, that was quick. No wonder the polls have him at less than 8% chance of winning the election. Pause again. He thinks that because he got remarried, that he's the polls are that's why the polls. Like, oh, Thomas Massey was doing good, but then he got remarried, and the polls have him at 8% now. He was at 23% before he got remarried. What?
I guarantee you he's much higher than 8% anyway. Whatever poll he's looking at is the most skewed poll ever. No way that's sitting at 8% chance of winning. No way.
No.
Anyway, sorry.
Anyway, have a great life, Thomas, and ? His wife will soon find out that she's stuck with a loser. I don't even have the words to begin for how frustrating that is. And here's again, I'm not trying to, I like the guy. I like some of his stuff. I'm not here to make enemies or attack anyone here, but you'll have guys like Austin Peterson who after Mike Johnson and Team Trump did everything they could to delay the Epstein files getting released. Like they literally pulled out all the stops. Massey finally gets the Epstein list released because Mike Johnson had to finally swear in the final member of Congress who was yet to be sworn in because they were on a recess since like August because they knew that if they came back from recess, Massey was going to force the vote. And then Austin Peterson is saying that Thomas Massey should now share in Trump's should declare victory with giving Trump the credit.
Some of the credit, yeah.
But that would be like I don't even know how to describe what that would be like. And yeah, I saw that. Yeah. How about
I had to
no?
put that. How about no? You
Yeah.
weird Dutch bastard.
No, I just don't even understand why Thomas Massey would even go. Again, Trump is primarying Massey and calling him a loser, saying it's like basically throwing shade at him because he got remarried after his wife passed away, who he was married to faithfully for 30 years. And how I just don't understand how you could possibly be on like we did it Like, Trump deserves some of the credit for getting this released. He personally was trying to block the release of these files.
Yeah, he was out there like, are we still talking about this Epstein guy, this creep? Like, yeah, we are, bro, because people in your camp made promises. So but
right.
But here's what I'm getting. So Austin Peterson is good on some things, but man, is he becoming a Trump bootlicker. It's disgusting. Like, dude,
Yeah.
people are falling out of love with Trump faster than anything I've ever seen. And you still are trying so hard to stay on the Trump train. I don't understand why.
He's on
He's
like
become a
the
bootlicker.
he's also on the Ben Shapiro, like,
Yes.
not neoconservative, but like he's like the Warhawk team.
Yes.
And I don't understand that. Like, not also from like a philosophical sense, like if you wanted more freedom and more libertarianism across the board, right? What do you think is an easier pitch? Shut down the war machine or shut down things that actually help Americans? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what do you think is an easier a push to convince people to end the warfare state or the welfare state? You know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. So if you're against both of them, you know what I mean? Then
Yeah.
you can't be stronger against the welfare state than the warfare state and hope to achieve libertarianism that way. Because I tell you what, I would much rather pay, like, if I had a choice, right? Like, no option of no taxes, but I had a choice. My taxes could either go to the warfare state or they go to the welfare state. My money's going to go to the welfare state. Like, again, I don't support it in any way, but I don't know. It's just hard to be like in this pro-war libertarian. I don't know.
Well, you know, it's like this post here from Mike Winger, whoever that is. Never heard of her. Mike Winger, never heard of her. Tucker and Candace are heading for a cliff. They'll bring many with them, but won't become the new voices for conservatives to follow, at least Christian ones. In the end, I believe their contribution will be to sow chaos into the right, such that we are far less effective, and the independents who recently decided to go right will get freaked out and move left. Nope, that's not Candace and Tucker's doing. That's Trump and his cabinet going full steam ahead for Israel and a whole bunch of other stuff that they swore up and down they weren't going to do. No, you can't put that on Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. I'm sorry. That's on you. This blame game of blaming Massey and Paul and MTG and Tucker and Candace and Nick Fuentes and Dave Smith. No. All they're doing, it just, again, they get so upset. I love it. I love it. They get so upset when they start pulling people out of the bubble and just get them like eyeballing other stuff and thinking a little bit. It freaks them out so bad. And they're just like Democrats. They resort to name calling them Hitler, you know, what do they call them? Oh my God. Why can't I think of oh my God. I'm drawing a huge blank. The Holocaust deniers and all these different things, right? And so again, folks, just like the Democrats, when these people come out and they just start name calling, that means they have no facts to back them up. Democrats, when backed into a corner with no facts to back up their case, will resort to name calling. And now these idiots on the right are doing the same exact thing. Trump's doing it ad nauseum. And then you've got all these idiots that are probably paid promoters for the right wing. They're all doing it, but they're not coming out with any facts. Levin, Shapiro, who were never Trumpers in the beginning, who suddenly now have become full-on bootlickers, resort to name calling. They refuse to debate anybody of substance who knows the facts. They won't debate them because I don't want a platform. No, you don't want to be made to look like the fool that you actually are on the internet. You don't want to take that chance of having your livelihood ruined because you get up there and spew nonsense that nobody else believes anymore. And you don't want to be like CNN and Fox and the rest of them, where you just keep losing viewers and losing viewers because people are going to a new source to get their information, or a place with open dialogue because they want to hear more sides of the story. It freaks you out, and you're just a coward. You're not a lion for liberty. You're a little weak little a lamb for the lamb for slaughter. You're nothing. You're no one. And if to me, if you're principled enough and you really feel strongly that you're on the right side of things, my thing is you want to get out and you would want to debate the people that you believe are wrong and doing the wrong thing and not supporting who they should support. And they don't do those things. They back off, they name call, and they go on with their show. Those are cowardly people. And I used to not like the woke right terminology, but Shapiro and Levin and some of these other people, they're acting like Democrats, the woke Democrats. They're just they would what be called the right side of the political aisle. So I don't think woke right is necessarily a bad term for some of these idiots.
No, no, woke right totally makes sense. And the irony is, it's that the people on that we would consider woke right are the ones who coined the term woke right for the people who are. It's like they're trying to win the battle of, like, because part of the crux of where this pro-Israel faction is losing its steam is they brought a knife to a gunfight. Because like you were saying, they don't have the facts on their side. All they have is typical political euphemism and wartime euphemisms. Like they act like, again, they don't have to show you any evidence. They just say that every Palestinian is bad and that the more of them gone, the better. And they talk about, everything that Israel does is it for its own self-defense, or else it would get wiped off the face of the earth. They don't have to defend that with evidence. They just say that. And so, of course, like you're saying, they can't go out and debate on that. Like you see what happens to people like Josh Hammer and just anyone who tries to debate the pro-Israel side with the euphemism game, with the you have to trust us, we're better people than them. And it just doesn't work whenever you've got people who are like, oh, there's only 30,000 Hamas members that you claimed when this war started, and now you've killed 70,000 people. Like, that doesn't, you know what I mean? The one very basic facts don't align with your false presentation of what reality really is. And so, yeah, I think it's, like you said, of course they're not going to come out and debate. They're not going to they don't want to test their ideas, in the town square. And so they just go to the classic, you're like you said, the Democrat woke tactic of you're a racist. Like you're anti-Semitic, you're racism. It's the 100% parallel.
Yeah. The thing is 20 years in Afghanistan, piling up debt, seeing soldiers come home, either coming home in caskets or coming home maimed or committing suicide at the rates they are right now. People don't want to see that anymore. So when, they might be cheerleading for a little while, but after a short time, people are like, this is starting to look and sound real familiar. And they're just not going to get on board with it. So the question is, it's the same. We had Woodrow Wilson promise we wouldn't get into World War I. Then that ship gets hit by the Germans, the Lusitania, and they knew it was going to happen, and they put people's lives at risk, and we get into World War I. Well, World War I happens. People don't want us to get into World War II. What do? We just sit there and do the dumbest stuff to the Japanese, knowing very well that it could cause them to attack us. They did. We jump into World War II. Now we go around terrorizing brown people all the time until they get upset and they attack. And then we're like, oh, see, you can't negotiate with these brown people. And after a while, the same old rhetoric with war people get weary of it and they start having doubt, rightfully so. You should have doubt right at the beginning because they don't ever declare, Congress hasn't declared war since World War II. So you should probably just, if Congress isn't going to declare war because we've been actually attacked, I would say be anti-war that whole time. But regardless, again, 20 years in Afghanistan, we come out with nothing to show for it, and people are just done. So now, instead of, I don't know, trying to entice people to attack us, we just have to try this whole name calling. You don't want to be against Israel, right? Now you got to pull on, you try to tug on the heartstrings of all the Christians and stuff, that you have this whole thing. Well, you have to back Israel. You don't have to back the government of Israel and the murderous people that are in charge there. You don't have to. That would be anti-Christian to back people who openly, seemingly want to just murder everyone in their path to take land back. That is not a Christian thing to do. But people are getting weary of it. And good. I'm glad. I hope more people get weary of it. I hope more people start slamming their reps, their congressmen, whatever, when they openly back this, like the Randy Fines of the world, right? Those people should be just throwing barbs at that guy nonstop, making fun of him. Just call him Big Fat Fatty every day. He goes, has his town hall. Yes, you have a question? Hey, Fat Fatty, why do you keep backing Israel? We don't like that anymore. Like, Fat Fatty, like, dude, if you looked in the mirror, you're huge, right? And just attack him nonstop to where the media can't cover it up. The people like, the media's like, at some point, like, everybody's calling this guy Fat Fatty. What's going on? Is there a memo out that we didn't get? But anyway, I'm glad people are becoming tired of the wars. I'm glad people are fighting back. I'm glad people are raising their concern and pulling away from these establishment media people. And some of them are pulling away from MAGA and everything else. Good. I hope this keeps happening and those crowds keep growing. And I hope the Republican Party, if they're hell-bent on pursuing this, falls to pieces. And the people are like, well, Democrats will get elected. Yeah, so what? It won't be much different than what we have right now. More spending, more taxation, increased cost of living. And then they want to make up a program which will go bankrupt or steal more of your money to help out a few people while they steal from everybody else. Nothing's going to change. There could be a few things. They might want to censor speech more than what the Republicans do, right? But generally, like, everything economically is not going to get better. It's just going to get worse, just like it is right now. So the Republicans have it coming. The Democrats have had their time where they were tearing each other apart too, between the Biden and Kamala Harris thing too. I hope that continues. I hope both parties just implode because people are pulling away from them and go, this is not what we wanted. You people aren't listening. Will that happen to enough people? I'm not sure, but I sure hope we see more and more of that as time goes on. It'd be nice.
Yeah. Because you talked about this a long time ago. You were saying that the Epstein list was your breaking point. Like when Trump's campaign was like not releasing the Epstein list, I remember back then you were like, this should be the moment where everyone wakes up. Yep. He's like, because these are the people that have been telling you for years that there's something here. Like Don Jr., J.D. Vance, 2-3 years ago, were the ones tweeting out, where's the Epstein list? Why are they burying all this Epstein stuff? And now it's you. Now you're the one who can release the Epstein stuff. And you fought the people who actually like that's the reason. Again, I hate putting my faith in a politician here, but the reason I think that there might be some juice to this Epstein thing is just because Thomas Massie stands on principle every single time. And he is standing there with these victims saying we need to release the Epstein stuff. And so when a guy who always stands on his principle is saying that there might be something here, there might actually be something there. Do I think we're going to get anything redacted? We're not going to get anything to the public that, actually leads to arrests or anything major. But it's just the symbolism of, okay, one guy protects the list of pedophiles and one guy fights to have the list of pedophiles open to the public. And so at a certain point, people are going to you can't just not wake up to this. Like Israel's a big one. It seems like every single person with not everyone, but there's just such a large amount. Like, you have high profile figures like Mark Levin and all these other, and Ben Shapiro, and they all have ties to, you know what I mean? There's very few like mainstream conservative, again, the people like aren't on Fox, right? Like even people like Tim Pool at the start of the Ukraine thing, even he was like, it's not really he's like, he didn't really want to talk about it, but now he's in the camp. You know what I mean? They're turning people like Tim Pool. And so, this could be wake up time.
Yeah, again, to me, if you are going to fight for, I don't care if they're Democrats or Republicans, because let's face it, most Democrats and most Republicans don't want this list they don't want the full list leaked out because people on their teams are on that list. And so even though the Democrats are really voting for it, they know that a bunch of it's going to be redacted. And then it'll be spend time because we'll spend it. They've already got their plans in place. They're going to spin it this way. It's all going to point to Trump. And then the Republicans are going to say it all points to Democrats. And during all this, we're not going to see any meat. We're not going to see the names of the people that we should see. The ones that are way up there in the halls of power, and the public just openly calling for their arrests and mounting huge amounts of pressure on these politicians to do something. They're not gonna risk that. It's going to be just like the SNAP program in Medicaid. It wasn't getting funded during the shutdown. They're going to turn it into the left and the right fighting and pointing the finger at the other side. And all the while, we're not getting the juicy information, the good information, and the information that will cause most of the people in the public to lose faith in this bread and circus that they put on for us on a daily. It's going to turn into a left versus right fight. And whoever can spin it the best is going to win elections. That's all it's going to turn into. They're going to somehow spin this and turn it into campaign fodder against an opponent or against a party. And whoever comes out with the best propaganda is going to win the elections. But at the end of the day, no one's going to jail. Maybe a couple sacrificial lambs that are way down at the bottom of the totem pole. But anybody that should really be in jail, maybe actually buried under the prison, no. Well, they won't see a second of jail time.
Well, they can't, because you can't. No. Well, here, that's the reason that even if Trump was in the files, the Democrats couldn't release it, because then you can blow the lid on the whole thing. Yeah. So you can't even arrest anyone in this without arresting everyone, because someone will blow the lid. And so, I mean, we talk about how Tulsi Gabbard sends over the information that Barack Obama was involved with Operation Hurricane. Like, you have you have John Bolton's house getting raided, and he's been indicted for like documents crimes, and like you have John Brennan being he faced a grand jury indictment of some kind, and it's just until these people are actually arrested, like until there is actual justice, I don't want to hear it. I don't care. Like, you know what I mean? Like, release the files, sure, but like you said, even if they released everything, if they don't arrest anybody, if no one faces any sort of repercussions for all of the Epstein stuff, because they just found new emails. I think it was Ryan Grimm he's with Breaking Points with Sagar and Crystal, and they had the Epstein emails that Mossad agents were living in Epstein's house in New York, because he lived next door to Ehud Barak, but they actually apparently Mossad agents were living in his house, and he was helping like some far off country with some, I'll have to look up more details in a second, but the main point is that there is you can't even hide the fact that Epstein was working with the Mossad at this point. He had Mossad agents at his house. He's like got pictures with them, and he was helping them do something super shady, but I'll have to look up and see if I can find it. But yeah, there's no escaping this Epstein stuff anymore.
And I mean, let's face it. I think, I mean, let's be honest here. If that list was to release and all that other stuff, and you could make a definitive connection to Mossad, all support for Israel goes out the window, right? I think that's what they're afraid of most. I think they're afraid of losing all that money that Israel and AIPAC pumps into the government, because you could no longer hide the fact that Israel is blackmailing politicians to keep their favor, right? All Israel support goes out the window. Israel cannot have that. They cannot lose all the support from the politicians here in the U.S. besides Massey, basically, right? I think
Yeah.
I think somebody posted something on Facebook the other day. Like Rand Paul's got $6,000, but somebody else had like, God, I don't remember what the amount was. Let me see if I can find this post real quick too, because it kind of had some totals of what some of the people got as far as donations from AIPAC. It's going to take me a while. This guy posts a lot of stuff. He posts a lot of funny stuff, but hopefully I find it here pretty soon. There was a pretty funny post from Clint Russell that said, yeah, everybody wants to say that Thomas Massey hasn't gotten anything done, but he sure got a bill passed to release the Epstein list, so you're welcome. I'm like, true that, brother. All right, here we go. This is what so Mitch McConnell, lobby total, almost $2 million. AUSD, AMP, BIC, NORPAC, RJC, and more. Rand Paul, $6,000. James Comer, $66,000. Brett Guthrie, $34,000. Morgan McGarvey, $108,000. Thomas Massey, $0. Hal Rogers, $128,000 from AIPAC. And then Andy Barr, $408,000. So that's all, everyone from Kentucky.
But even Rand Paul is only 6,000 compared to everyone else who's in the. I mean, he's a U.S. senator and he got $6,000 from them.
And AIPAC is not in that list.
And they're not. So that's not influence.
No, this was just showing, like, you know, these people are probably attacking Thomas Massey the most. And look, between Paul and Massey, $6,000 total, and the lowest total beyond that is what, $34,000 for Brett Guthrie. So yeah, I mean,
yeah, it's like,
again, it appears that the fear is Israel and its government and its warmongers losing control of Congress here in the U.S. I think is the biggest fear. I mean, it should happen already. It should be common knowledge that Mossad and Epstein had very close ties, that he was basically gathering blackmail evidence for them for influence and control. That should be common knowledge already, but now we have these emails and everything to prove it. But yeah, they are going to go all in on making sure that even if they release the names of some of these people, no one with any direct ties to Israel is going to get their names. Those names will be redacted.
So it's, let me get my mouse out of the way there. Yeah, Jeffrey Epstein pursued Swiss Rothschild Bank to finance Israeli cyber weapons empire. Again, I haven't had the time to do a deep dive into all of these new documents that are getting released, but no one's discredited them. Like I haven't seen anybody take on any of the allegations in the emails and discredit anything said about them. So if somebody has that, feel free to share it. But from what I'm understanding right now is that, like, Jeffrey Epstein using his influence to blackmail people is like, you know, it's only a part of this whole thing. Like he's into some deep, like, moving financials around for billionaires and helping them evade taxes and all the stuff. Like, move around their dirty money. And so, again, this is him trying to, again, apparently, allegedly, pursue a Swiss bank, Rothschild bank, to finance a cyber weapons, to finance cyber weapons for Israel. Like that alone on its face is like,
yep,
enough. I mean, there's, you can't deny Epstein was working for the Mossad, that he had a working relationship with the Israeli intelligence. You can't deny that. So now all we want to know are the names of his associates who are in DC. That's all we need left. And if they don't prosecute them, I mean, obviously they need to. People need to be arrested for this and they need to be prosecuted. But the information will be there for the people to be so absolutely disgusted that you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like even if they don't name any of the Israeli assets or the American intelligence assets, if they just give us the names of the clients, if they just give us the names of the people that they have on this list, then we as Americans should be able to be in just hopefully fired up enough to do something.
Yeah.
Like get every single one of them out of power, out of their elected offices. This is the big one. Like this is the big door prize.
Yeah, I hope that like I said, I hope that that this will spark some kind of revolution, maybe. I don't know. I would hope, but I don't have much faith anymore in this stuff. Are people like really getting fed up with these freaks of nature that sit in Washington, D.C.? I want to have faith, but God, it's so hard for me to have faith that we get enough people pulling away from both major parties and saying, we're done. I can't support you guys anymore. Because the only way you'll ever get these people to straighten up is if they don't get, but that's the thing. Like the people themselves could not donate. They'll just go straight to the banks and the big corporations and continue to get campaign donations. You can't even cut off the money effectively enough to get these people to go to really freak out, right? Again, we need names. Again, clients would be great, but there's some politicians' names in there, and really get a burr up someone's butt would be way better. But it's just, God, the tides again. When you have the full power of the Justice Department, and you have seemingly the power of Mossad, like twisting and turning people, and AIPAC, and all this money and influence, like how do you take that down? When you have two intelligence agencies from two different countries and the billions of dollars flowing in, how do you stem the tide? Right? Like it's not I'm not saying it can't be done. It's just not going to be very easy. It will take a great majority of the American people to say, all right, I'm out. I've had it. To really get this, to pump the brakes on this. That's how I feel about it anyway.
I just don't understand how it can last the way it's set up.
Right.
I mean, you talk about how there's, it's the way you describe it sounds like an evil villain movie. It's like you've got foreigners from another country infiltrating our intelligence services, blackmailing our politicians, and spending hundreds of millions of dollars on our political campaigns to influence our elections. Like that sounds like what Democrats in 2016 would say about Russia. Like that's literally like the Russians they're influencing our elections and they're blackmailing Trump and all of the blah blah blah. But that's literally what the Israeli government and that's what the Mossad and Jeffrey Epstein were up to. That's like what they did. And so the fact that the fact that this information is coming out and there's not, I'm trying to think of the way to put this. There's like the fact that all this information is coming out, but it seems like it should be enough in itself to you know what I mean? Like there
Yeah.
shouldn't need to be any more to it. But for some reason, like regular people who aren't influenced by Israeli money, they just eat all of this up.
Yeah, it's just like again, it's almost back to the fact that people don't want to admit that they fell for it, right? That they've been wrong however long, most of their life, however old they are, from the time they've been able to vote or maybe a couple years before, that they've just fallen for everything, hook, line, and sinker. And that they have to just look in the mirror and go, my God, I voted for these people. I backed these people. I gave these people my money. And it's really hard for a lot of people to just go, I've got to change. I can't support this anymore. And it's sad because, again, it doesn't affect everybody, but when people see the masses of the world where seemingly all these people are turning on them, I think they look at that and go, like, he's a sitting congressman. And look, I don't have that kind of money and I don't have that kind of power. I don't want all these people turning on me. They've made an example out of enough people. And again, during COVID and some of these other things, they've made examples of enough people where it's just like people are afraid to pull away and go and just say out loud, I don't care. I don't like any of you anymore. I don't want I don't want this government anymore. I wish we could just abolish the whole thing and start over or whatever. I don't want to be a part of this anymore because people get so afraid of other people's opinions when it comes to this stuff. I don't know why. I don't know why you don't go, well, you think I care what you think? You think the pedophile protectors are better than me? All right, then you need to go visit a psychiatrist and maybe get some medication or take your Geritol, something. I don't want to be you. You almost have to turn around and go, so you'd rather stand up for people who protect pedophiles than people like me? Like, whoa, that's gross, dude. So you like pedophiles better than normal people? That's weird. I mean, I don't know. There's so many different things. And again, as I've stated many times on the show, I have had to look in the mirror a lot and go, you were wrong, dude. Like you were way off on this. You've got to start thinking more about and looking at things better before you get behind it. Like you have got to like step back. I've had to do that a lot in my life. I will probably continue to have to do that because I may be fooled by something once in a while and then step back, think a little bit and be like, oh, oops, I got to back away from this one, like the Bill Eigel thing, right? So it's too hard for too many people to do. I don't know why. It's not like if you admit you're wrong, someone comes by with a ninja sword and cuts your head off or something, or you're hunted down by the 4 horsemen. You just have to say you were wrong. Whoop-de freaking do. It's pretty easy. It's actually life-changing. And it makes you a better person. But, whatever. A lot of people apparently are not equipped to do that when it comes to politics. And I don't know why. Of all again, that meme, the Star Wars meme where they're like Luke and Obi-Wan and R2 and them is like, you'll never see a bigger hive of villainy and scum, but somebody takes that town out and puts Washington, D.C. in there, right? And it's like, yeah, why do you want to equate yourself with those people? They're all, for the most part, they're some of the most crooked human beings there are. Why do you want to stand up for them all the time? That doesn't make any sense. And not stand up for the Masseys and Pauls and MTGs and Tuckers and Candaces and stuff like that. You'd rather stand up for bullies and cowards and creepy people. Like, wow, it's just a messed up world that we live in, that people would rather stand up for those types of folks than, I don't know, people who just want to be left alone and do the right thing. It doesn't make sense.
It's got me really like thinking about what 2028 is going to look like.
Yeah.
Like it's the 2028 presidential primaries are going to be like, they're going to rival like when Donald Trump entered, because now, because of Donald Trump, a lot more people just pay attention to politics on the day-to-day. So I just, that's what the Republican Party is going to have to figure out before 2028 is how to mend, how you're going to possibly bring these people back together.
Yep.
I mean, that's what that's what it's really going to come down to is like they're going to have to win an election again because Trump's approval rating's down bad. And so I just don't see how without distancing yourself from the Israeli lobby, because again, you've got when J.D. Vance went to Israel after right after Trump announced that he's going to stop the Israelis from taking the West Bank, J.D. Vance is on a trip to Israel and the Knesset voted to annex the West Bank. And he was like, yeah, I took that personally. He's like, yeah, it seems a little personal dig, I guess, to do this while I'm here. Right after the president had said he's not going to let Israel take over the West Bank. I mean, they even, again, I talked about this a little bit and I didn't look more into it to confirm it, but there was something going around that the United States was going to build a military base on the border of Gaza and the rest of mainland Israel. And I mean, it's just a continuation of our endless war policy in the Middle East, and the conservatives that voted for the anti-war Trump, the Trump who said he could work out a deal with the fact that Joe Biden was bombing the Yemeni people was crazy. And then Trump obviously just picks up that torch and keeps running with it. So it's interesting to see what 2028 is going to have, how that's going to play out, if who they're going to who the establishment could possibly send out to bring in, the faction of the party that's, fed up.
Yeah, I wish I could figure people out. I really do. I wish I could figure them out. Like, what exactly are we doing here? And why do we continually support people who, I wish I could play that clip from George Carlin when he's talking about, but it's not radio friendly, but I wish I could play that because he says it ever so much, even though it's vulgarity laced, he says it much more eloquently than I could. But, why do we continually support people who don't give a rip about you at all? Why do we, like, how's he phrase it? Good, hardworking people, white collar, blue collar, doesn't matter what collar you have on, continually support these people, vote for these people who don't give a squat about you. And it's a good question. Like, what exactly are we doing here? But it's just,
I'm curious to see how the libertarians are going to piss this one away. I'm curious to see who they're going to trot out there in 2028. I mean, I could be surprised, but there's just such a wide open lane. Like 2024, say whatever you want about the libertarian candidate. 2024 was going to be a rough year because Trump really did a good job presenting himself as actually the anti-establishment candidate. And then you had RFK Jr. running third party in the mix up until September. And so third party candidates in general, it's going to be a tough year for 2024. 2028, if things continue on the path they're on, again, 2028 is a long way out, don't get me wrong. But if Trump's second term continues on the path that it's on, there is going to be a wide open lane for a non-interventionalist, common sense candidate, because everyone who's going to be running on the Republican ticket has to tie themselves to Trump. And they have to say that everything that he did in the second term and the first term and everything every Republican's ever done forever is glorious and fantastic, because that's how you win the primary. And so to win the primary, they're going to have to find, it could be someone like J.D. Vance, but J.D. Vance is so tied to Trump and Trump's approval rating is so bad that this is another golden opportunity for a third-party candidate, hopefully, for guys like me, the libertarian, to put out somebody reasonable who can actually reach the American people in a moderate way.
Yeah, it will be interesting. I mean, I really wish Dave Smith would run and be able to stay in it. Even though even though Democrats and Republicans both keep changing the rules to where this, libertarian can't hardly get on a debate stage when, especially after both parties have their nominees. I would love to see a Dave Smith type personality up on that stage.
Well, the
Just
beautiful part about that too would be that he could just go on Tucker and Rogan. He could go Tucker, Rogan, Tucker, Rogan, Tucker, Rogan. Rogan might not have him on for all that, but my point being is that he's going to have so much more reach than every other third-party candidate that's ran besides RFK Jr., who if he would have stayed in the race, might have done pretty well for a third-party candidate. He definitely wouldn't have won, may not have even won any, probably wouldn't have won any states, but would have done decent numbers, but he ended up, dropping out and backing Trump.
Okay, somebody just asked in the live chat. Gary just asked in the live chat real quick. Are there any politicians from Missouri that are on AIPAC's payroll? Well, there's a website apparently called Track AIPAC. Let me pull that up. And let's see the numbers. Josh Hawley, 312,000. Eric Schmidt, 80,000. Wesley Bell, $12 million. Ann Wagner, 213. Bob Onder, 24,000. Mark Alford, 64,000. Emmanuel Cleaver, 95,000. Sam Graves, 45,000. Eric Burleson, 36,000. Jason Smith, 99,000. Now, this just says received from the pro-Israel lobby. So, I don't know if I hit this. Yeah, but this Democrat has $12 million spent by Israel lobby groups. This Democrat.
Well, so that was he was going against Cori Bush in 2024, and she was part of the squad, and she was very against what Israel was doing, and he was pro-Israel, and so they just threw. I mean, that was clear. Yep, see Cori Bush there. She took no money from AIPAC.
Yeah.
She
though
was terrible.
Yeah,
she was awful.
Terrible.
And that's all. Again, it's just one of those Democrat things where, like, if you put out a bad candidate, then a pro-Israel candidate can come in and take that seat from them.
Let's see. Okay, so we got some stuff here. Mark Alford. Quit. It's going to keep scrolling. Signed letters urging the Biden administration to prevent Iran from attaining a nuclear weapon and bolster missile defense cooperation with Israel. He also co-sponsored bills that sanction foreign ports and refineries that process Iranian petroleum, extend restrictions on Iran's ballistic missile program. See. So there's Sam Graves has got that prevents Iran from procuring unmanned drones. Burleson, pro-Israel resolutions that established, what's that say? A State Department envoy dedicated to the Abraham Accords. Jesus. Jason Smith. All right, knock it off. I wish this self-scrolling stuff. Co-signed a letter urging sustained military assistance to the Jewish state without added conditions. So yeah, we got a lot of looks like the majority of our congressmen from Missouri here are funded well by AIPAC. But yeah, Wesley Bell sold his soul to Israel just to win his congressional seat. I mean, I guess some of these people will do anything for here's another one. Open Secrets, pro-Israel. This is from 1990 to 2024. And it looks like at that time, I don't want to donate to you. Looks at that time, Joe Biden had the most at 4 million. Robert Menendez, Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris, Mark Kirk, Joe Lieberman, Mitch McConnell, Ted Cruz, Chuck Schumer. Wow. Now, John McCain, before he passed away, $1.5 million.
That's just from AIPAC, or is that all of the Israeli lobby?
This money comes from employees or PACs affiliated with the industry, not from the companies themselves, but this is money from pro-Israel to U.S. senators.
Okay.
Let's see, like
Because because Miriam Adelson's $100 million to Trump didn't come up in there.
So yeah, Wesley Bell leads for Missouri. He is the top in the U.S. House at $2.7 million. But look, Hakeem Jeffries, Steny Hoyer, George Latimer, all Democrats at the top, which is, wow, they really set their sights. Let's look at all senators.
That was one of the things that Charlie Kirk would always say. He's like, you guys realize that the Israelis, they donate, like the Israeli PACs donate to the worst Democrats that have the most socialist, pro-socialist agenda. And as long as they continue to send the weapons to Israel, with blind support, then it doesn't matter to the Israelis if our country is full of, like, ran by socialists. They don't care as long as the socialists are pro-Israel.
Right. Yeah.
So you have to question even American citizens that have dual loyalty to another country, especially the ones with like the influence that Israel does. You can't vote for this anymore. You just can't vote for it. If you see these kinds of numbers, you have to tell everyone can't vote. Like, send this list out. If you live in whatever state you live in, go to Track APAC, take that screenshot, send it out and say you can't vote for these people. And that also, like, that doesn't apply just for APAC, though. That applies for all lobbying.
Yeah.
Like, it's not better if Cigna funds it versus the Israelis funding somebody. If the medical industry has you by the cojones, then you're no better than someone who's controlled by Israel. You're just going to vote, to influence for. You get what I'm saying? You're going to vote. Yep. Those people are going to vote based on where their money comes from. So, obviously the Israeli lobby is a good one to look at because there's very direct, like, Israel gave them money, they voted this way or another way. But the same thing applies to the healthcare industry, which is how we got COVID, how we got the crazy vaccine. It's how, it's all of it. So, I think open secrets should be like it should be on the homepage of everyone's laptop screen. The home screen should have a direct link to the Open Secrets website where you can see where all these politicians are getting their money.
Yeah, I just heard a gentleman by the name. I'm sitting here because I forgot, because earlier today I was at work. I forgot to go to Sonar 21 and subscribe to the email list. Larry Johnson was on with Scott Horton here a week or so back. We got to try to get in contact with somebody from this site. He's ex-CIA. And he just got back from Russia not too long ago and got to talk to all kinds of people and get their perspective on, like the war with Ukraine and all this stuff. He ended up leaving the CIA because he didn't like the way they operated, especially with the wars and everything else. He was not happy and he got out of there. And I think he kind of contributes for Scott Horton, but I'm going to have to send him an email and see if anybody from that organization or site will come on and just talk about stuff with Russia, Ukraine, or Israel or anything. That would be another good group of people to have on. All right. Well, we got about just under 7 minutes left, or just over 7 minutes left. Brandon, any closing thoughts before we close out the show this evening?
No, just a little bit more demoralized than last week after going over all this stuff, but not really. I'm about to go spend some time with my baby and my fiance, and I'm going to have a good time.
Yeah, I know. It's, I'm glad that at times like these, I'm glad I have a hobby that just gets me out of the house and I don't think about it. Like, I might listen to podcasts on the way to my destination, but once I got my camera in my hand and I'm like looking around and stuff, I don't think about politics. I don't think about nothing. My focus is on the task at hand, getting wildlife shots. And I've said this before on the show. everybody needs something that can take their minds away from all this for a little while. Even if it's once a week, you just tap out for a while. Just get out. Don't look at your phone. Don't look at the news. Don't look at anything. Even if it's just going and hanging out with some friends, like playing pool or whatever, just get away for a few hours. It's just good for your mental health. This crap will drive you insane if this is all you look at all the time. And you almost become unbearable to other people. It's like, can we talk about something else for a little while? Holy smokes. So I urge anybody out there, just, if you can, if you got a hobby or you find a hobby, do something besides politics 24/7, because it will get to you. But anyway, that's going to do it for this week's edition of the Missouri Liberty Report. Who knows what'll be on tap for next week? I mean, the way the news stories are rolling out right now, there's never a shortage of dumb things to talk about when it comes to government and its policies. But again, don't forget, December 2nd, Tom Martz will be back on for our Marxist show of the week, or show of the month. And then the following week, we'll be joined by Tony Lavasco on the 9th. So make sure you tune in for that one. He is running again for the House, and that should be for 2020. It'll be for 26, because the House is every 2 years, the Senate's every 4 years. So Tony will be up for election to 2026. I think you'll want to tune in and listen to what that gentleman has to say. But other than that, folks, that's going to do it. For all of those who watch on YouTube, Facebook, or Rumble, we greatly appreciate you. Those of you that listen by podcasting app or at molibertyradio.us, we greatly appreciate you. But if you do see this on a podcasting app, if you do see this on one of these video sites, make sure you give us a like, a follow, you leave us a review, a rating, whatever you can do, so it helps feed the algorithm, so more people find our liberty message out there on the interwebs. And with that, I bid you adieu, and we'll see you back here next week, Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. for another edition of the Missouri Liberty Report.